Ding. Incense burning, all space is filled with the fragrance. All Buddhas smell it from afar. Auspicious clouds gather everywhere. With utmost sincerity, all Buddhas appear. We pay homage, we offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage, we offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage, we offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. Good morning. Well, I hadn't planned to do this today, but it made me so happy that I'm gonna do it. Where are we on Sundays? Do we have on the internet? Yes. Okay. That's all right. I'm still gonna do it. Some things I reserve just for us. If you want it, you gotta come here to get it. But and that's really because our minds are different, our understandings are different. And sometimes there needs to be a prefacing before you can share a certain concept. If you want a person to understand, if you want a person to understand it, otherwise they will draw an understanding or a conclusion from what they already know. So the Buddha talks about hindrance of knowledge as an obstacle, because if we don't have the capacity to open beyond our fixed preconceptions of things, then we can draw a conclusion that is not the conclusion that will take you further. It'll keep you stuck where you are, may even cause you to go backwards. And so, yes, we have to have our own direct experience of things, but he didn't just say like whatever life teaches you, go with that. He said also consider the teachings of those who are wise, and if you can't consider them wise yet because you don't know them, he said, then consider the teachings of those that other people consider wise. Now, there's some responsibility on you, and the truth is, like, if you don't get it the first time, maybe the second or third or the fourth, because we will learn from experience who to listen to and who not to listen to, even if they're just recommending who we should listen to and who not to listen to. So we can't get too invested in what people think, because they just think what they think from their own side, you see, or from their level of experience or understanding, or from the memory and the remaining feelings of something that was either pleasant for them or unpleasant for them. And if you base your own assessment on how people feel about you or what you share that for yourself is true, then you're going to be heading in a wrong direction. So I say to you, when we are sharing what we know to be true with others, and when we are receiving what others know to be true for themselves, we still have to hold it with a grain of salt, you could say, but we also have to hold our own experience perhaps with more than a grain of salt, unless we like where we are. If we like where we are, then stay right there. If we think that there must be something more, then go and search that out. The Buddha did that when, no, he wasn't the Buddha at that time, but before he stepped forward and proclaimed that he was awakened, he studied with some of the best teachers of his day. I mean, and he was so good. They said, like, boy, we've taught you, that's it. There's nothing else. This is the highest teaching. It's pretty good. But I think that there must be more. And he went in search of something more. Now, when we're at at ground level, we should not think that we should not consider the teachings of others. Get enough in there to filter first. Don't draw a conclusion so quickly. And most of us have been on this path for a long time, but mostly we're just regurgitating the first things that we got, maybe even the first ways that we understood it. And so we haven't made much progress. And when you don't make much progress, then you just start lowering the bar and saying, this is all there is. And that's what we have a lot of today. But when one is challenged, I mean, truthfully challenged, because you know what a challenge is? A challenge is something that challenges your sense of self. It challenges your ego, what you think about yourself, the way you position yourself in relationship to others, whether you feel that you're being outed because some circumstance speaks to your inadequacy. All of these things, but who cares about them? We live for a while and then we die. And nobody dies for me. I die for myself. Nobody dies for you. You die for yourself. And so when that time comes, there can be nobody to blame saying, oh, they tricked me. Oh, they didn't tell me the truth. Oh, they didn't. No, everyone is responsible for their own life. So people would always ask me, what's our purpose for this life? And as a Christian, I was always seeking that. What is my purpose? What is my purpose for being here? I didn't know that you get here through cause and condition. So now I'm no longer asked, what's the purpose? I'm like, now that I'm here, what shall I do with my life? It's more the question. But a lot of us are still asking the question, what's my purpose? A Buddha said, now every question doesn't need to be answered. But sometimes when we get unstuck from our preconceived notions, like that we have to have a purpose for being here, like a purpose for going to the store, or like a purpose, and maybe if we're looking at it in that way, we're asking the wrong question. Maybe the question is, forget about purpose. Now that I'm here, now there is an appearance, a manifestation. What should I do with this life, with this manifestation? And maybe answers will start coming that are a little bit different. A little bit different. It's amazing how, like, at the Hermitage, Kay keeps the thermostat set on 71. Sometimes I feel really cold with 71. But all I have to do is just turn it up to 72. And 72, I find myself sweating. I don't have to turn it up to 75. I don't have to turn it up to 78. Just 1 degree. And I don't know what happens. But it gets so warm, I have to get up in the middle of the night and go and turn it back down. Or usually I like just try to, if I've turned it up, I sneaky get up and turn it back down before she gets up. Because I like to be a little warmer than everybody else, and so I want to read a part of a discourse today, to just plant a seed, and for many years, I've had this teacher for 12 years, but my teacher, you know, wasn't like everybody's teacher. I was investigating my teacher. But it has taken me this long to really have a crack, you know, in understanding in a way. And one reason is just because every day is becoming like another day in samsara. Like, like you just get up, eat, poop, work, talk to people on the phone, angst over the news or whatever. And you may be helping somebody here and there, and then you go to bed and get up the next morning and you do these same things again and again and again. So I'm looking now for the true spark of life in living. I mean, if you have to live, find the true spark that makes every day like such a pleasure to open one's eyes and know. Now we're talking about knowing one's purpose. So I'm just coming into knowing my true purpose because I've come to the end of Panyawadi. As long as she still had an idea, as long as she had something that she wanted to do, as long as she had something she wanted to say, as long as she had somewhere she wanted to go, as long as she had something she wanted to build, there was not enough space available for much else. And that's where we find ourselves in this life. If, in spite of all of our great aspirations, there is we talk. I got a email from a student today who dropped out of the Dharmacharya program, and she sent me the email this morning, and she gave me all this praise for all she's studying and all she's learning and all she's realizing and blah blah blah. And she said, but just to make it short, the reason I'm dropping out has to do with lineage. And she said, and then she said all these other nice things, and she was doing really good. Okay. And so I just wrote her back, and and I assured her that's perfectly okay. I said, but the one thing I want to say to you, or not but and, but and the one thing that I want to say to you is that there is only one lineage, and that's the lineage of the Buddhas, the awakened beings. And I'm not speaking just of Shakyamuni, and I'm not speaking of just a Buddhist as we categorize people. There's just one lineage, and we as human beings are trying to translate or to shift or to change lineages from being ordinary human beings to awakened ones. That's the only lineage. I don't care anybody who comes up with anything else. I don't care what they call it, Theravada, Mahayana, Zen, Chan, Pure Land. I don't care what they call it. Only those parts of whatever they teach that are what the awakened ones teach is the lineage. All the rest are lineages that men made, crafted from wherever they were in their own development and through the lens of their realization. So that's just the consequence of being born in the human world. And so we have to be open and really thoughtful about the reasons that we do things. A lot of times it's because of our own self-grasping and our own clinging to who we are, what we affiliate with, what label or patch we wear, what group we belong to, these kinds of things. And while they have a value in the temporal world in the ultimate sense of things, they are just toys. When the scripture says that when I was a child, But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So I'd like to just read, you know who the master is verbose, so I'm not going to read the whole discourse. And I hope I can help outline the salient features that I can weave together a starting point, and in the class to whet your appetite, and in a class dedicated to this discourse, and it can be a whole class. Maybe we can go into it a little bit more deeply. Disciples, first of all, we're going to expound upon an extremely important discourse today. If you can learn from it and realize it as well, in this way, you can end and liberate yourself from the cycle of birth and death in this very life. Now, for 12 years, all those who were authorized could do is read the teachings. But this year, when I went to see the message, that you have to put it in your own words now. I've been waiting for that forever when there was Paniwadi who had something to say. But now that I get the permission to put it in my own words, I just see how excellent these are. And I feel like I should just go with that. So for those of you who hate me reading a discourse, please try to just overlook that part today and listen to the word. This is an exceedingly simple discourse. These principles may also be easily heard and frequently heard. However, people often end up getting nothing and do not realize it after listening. Therefore, it is of the utmost importance that you understand the principles after listening to them. So what is this discourse about? To begin with, each of us, our disciples, each one of us living beings fundamentally must recognize that we have a serious problem. The problem is that we human beings must die. We human beings must reincarnate. Our lives are short like a dream. This dream will come to an end very quickly. All of us must die, no matter where you come from, whose child you are, whether the disciples are young or old. We must die. Only one kind of person does not die, and that is a person who is liberated from the cycle of birth and death. So that death is just like taking off your clothes. He is the one who realizes the principles that I expound and the one who practices in accordance with such teachings. Except for this kind of person, everyone must die. Some people may say, death, what's the big deal about death? When we die, we just die. This kind of talk can be an easy slip of the tongue. Exactly what do you know about how much suffering there is after death? If you fail the law of cause and effect, it is unavoidable for you to not book a date with the Lord of death. And you will be doomed to enter into the reincarnation or the recycling of the 6 realms. This is what impermanence is. Disciples, when you harm lives, there will be recompense. And this is called the law of cause and effect. At the very least, there's one practical thing that no one can escape. It is what I just said. If you do not learn Buddha Dharma well, you must, in one word, die. So where is the destination that everyone moves towards? As long as you are a living being, as long as you are the one who does not understand these principles, the direction that you are headed toward is impermanence. What does it mean by impermanence? That is, any living being must die, and any non-living thing must break down or deteriorate. Therefore, there's a concept called arising, subsisting, changing, and passing away. To arise or give form means to compose in this world. To subsist means to abide or stay as long as the conditions for abiding are present. Changing means that anything that forms, changing means that anything that forms or that all conditional dharmas or things must deteriorate. Passing away means to terminate that form. So this so-called form indicates the form that we see right at this moment. So briefly speaking, every part of your body, including your bones and blood flowing through your body, as well as your spirit, your memory, everything will be arising, subsisting, changing, and passing away. How long does it take? Decades, perhaps. Briefly speaking, though it means that we do not move toward Buddha land, but get closer and closer to just death every day. If we understand the principle of impermanence, then the places that we go are Buddha lands or the Pure Lands. Heading towards liberation then, or enlightenment, is the end of the cycle of birth and death. And so moving towards that, we find ourselves on a road to happiness. There's a saying that people's lives are impermanent, but most people are drunk and living in a dream-like state, so they do not even realize it themselves. They're drunk in this dream, but are in this impermanence, but they do not even know about it. In this impermanence, they not only dream, but they have a dream. And they do not know that they have a dream within a dream. Therefore, people usually will ignore everything and do not understand what they should even do in the course of a day. Why don't we understand? This is because all that living beings think of is their future. Think of how I should look for money, how I should develop my business, where I should live in the future, how to make arrangements for my family to be happy, how I should play, how I should eat well. I'm in progress. I'm willing to learn, and I'm learning Buddha Dharma. In the meantime, I want to be good at the worldly matters. I also like to take great care of the children in my family. And I want to educate them to form a family business and then have them inherit the business. We think all days about these kinds of things. Most people are like this. Disciples, you too. What do you think about? Frankly speaking, you're drunk in your dreams. You confuse truth with falsehood. You have not yet understood it yourselves. You've not yet realized it yourselves. Everyone, please reflect upon it carefully, and then you will realize. Take your time and reflect. We say we have been very devoted to the Buddha Dharma. But have we really? When things are going good, we like to talk about a little Buddha Dharma here and there. But when things are not going good, we're not talking about the Dharma. We are all engaged, involved, devolved into our crises of the moment, the way we're feeling, the way we're thinking. But there's only one way for people to detect this. It's like when we're at the airport, there's an automatic flat escalator or people mover in the airport. This automatic flat escalator lies on the ground, and when we step on it, regardless of what we do, it will make our position impermanent, and it will push and push and push us all the way to the end of the walking escalator. And it is the same reasoning with time, which functions exactly like when you're on a flat escalator. After stepping on it, it starts. It will take you away. People in their lives and in their longevity of life and living beings in the six realms of rebirth, linking consciousness, all spend their time like this, like stepping on a flat escalator. Where will it push you towards? It pushes you towards a funeral home. It pushes you to a crematory to be burned into ashes, and your remaining bones become nothing. Thoroughly, this occurs day by day. It'll make you completely disappear in the end, and your descendants won't even remember your name. You completely disappear. That is why the things in this world are not worthy of your attachment. Regardless of whether you do business, regardless of what you do, everything is like an illusion. For this reason, I often tell everybody that as long as we can make a living, the most important thing that we have to do is make the best use of our time to cultivate ourselves and to learn the Dharma. This is extremely important. As long as you can make a living, this is the best use of your remaining time. We often say, my future is so good and so bright. What I'm getting ready to do is going to be successful. What I'm doing is successful right now. I will need to make some arrangements for my future. You're right. You're truly very naive and very happy to think that way. Unfortunately, do you know that this flat escalator of time will push uninterruptedly and will immediately push you closer and closer to the direction of the crematory with amazingly fast speed? Of course, some person stands on the flat escalator and walks well. While walking, he turns around and he starts running in the other direction. He will hear the master say, don't go that way, go over there, quickly. He runs a few more steps in the other direction, and his time has been extended a little longer before he reaches the end. And some people understand this principle, and they run desperately until they run off of the flat escalator and do not stand on the track of impermanence anymore. Impermanence can't do anything to them. And they cannot be dragged into a crematory anymore. So when the master teaches the Buddha Dharma, it will ask you to run backwards, like running backwards on a flat escalator in the airport. Of course, it's very hard to run backwards, and you will feel very tired and think that it's unreasonable. However, these unreasonable conducts are actually called cultivation. We get off this track and we refuse to let it take us to its destination, the destination of impermanence. Therefore, we set about to deliver ourselves from impermanence. The human being, like a man on a flat escalator. When you explain this to people, they will know. They will understand. And then they know that if they live for one day, they have one day less. 1 month, 1 month short. 1 year gone away. 1 hour, 1 hour passing. Even 1 minute, 1 minute less. In the time that I've spent talking, your life is less by these many minutes. There's no increase in time, you see. There is only decrease in time. It is exactly like that flat escalator. It will not preserve time for you, but it will only send you to the destination very quickly. This is what impermanence is. So the question was posed to me the other day, why do we have to use the word fear? Why fear impermanence? This is the answer to that question. He understands his principle of impermanence, so why does he not turn around? Why is he drunk in his dreams? Why is he blocked entirely by greed, anger, foolishness, attachment, joy, rage, sadness, happiness, pain, loss, fame, infamy, praise, blame, joy, and sorrow? Why does he forget? Because of attachment and the concept of attachment, all kinds of negative phenomena occur. If one becomes liberated and ends the cycle of birth and death, he will have not a normal, ordinary, but a super normal power. And if he has great abilities and is able to transform, then he can do whatever he likes in this game of life. If he wants to taste the flavor of life, he tastes it. If he does not want to taste it, he just leaves. How wonderful it is. The anxiety and the fear that comes into our lives is because we are not making the choice. But we are driven by our attachments. And that produces the suffering that comes with it. Now, disciples understanding impermanence intellectually and arising or causing to arise the true state of impermanence are two different things. For instance, I have expounded upon what is called impermanence today. And maybe everyone will understand intellectually that we are truly approaching death every day. But usually their enemy is the proportion of profits that they make. The joy of worldly matters in life will easily override and cover the state of Buddha Dharma in their life. Buddha Dharma means practicing holding the mind of a Buddha. What would the Buddha do in this situation? What would the Buddha think in this situation? How would a Buddha, and if you have to come up with that word, how would an awakened one, an enlightened one who truly understands, one who's boundless in generosity and compassion, how would they respond in this situation? And every moment we're confronted with that. I know I am. There's my Panyawadi response, and there's like what the Buddha said response. And most of the times they don't jive. They don't go together. This is what work is. This is what practice is. having these two kinds of thoughts. And of course, the more we know, the more we have these two kinds of thoughts. In the beginning, we thought our thought was right. This makes sense. This is logical. Duh. But after we go a while, we started hearing about this ideal, and we're seeing, yeah, that is very good if one can only reach up to it. I aspire to be that way. And then a situation comes that allows us the opportunity to step into it, to like apply that thing right there, right here, but say, not today. No, not today. I'll work on that tomorrow. And so our practice is constantly, first it's knowing what is the highest aspiration. And then in the moment when there's a chance to demonstrate that you can evoke it, you can bring it up, you can send it forth, whether one is really willing. We mostly say like we're not able to. 9 times out of 10, it's not that we're not able, it's we're not willing to in that moment. Now, of course, there are times that we really are not able. I mean, I can't go and just lift up a 100-pound weight. I just don't have the capacity. I don't have the training. I don't have the discipline. I don't even care. I don't have the interest. But if I did, then I would start little by little, picking up 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, just little by little. I would be checking to see if I'm straining something. Sister, I need to see you after Dharma. If I need to I'm just have Nancy. Nancy. I have to remind somebody because I have senior moments and then I'll forget. And so gradually we build. And we decide how far we want to go. So that's my question to you today. You wanna? I look for the flat walking escalator every time I go to the airport. I don't want to walk anywhere. I jump on the escalator. But now I have a whole different reference for the escalator because I recognize that I'm on this escalator leading to improvement, taking down the moments, second by second. And I have to decide at some point, not when I'm too feeble to do anything else and hope I can redeem the time on my deathbed or close to my deathbed, but right now, choosing what matters and stepping in to my great aspiration. We say a few words about the Dharma when we are happy. When we are unhappy, we just forget about the Dharma entirely. Like people standing on the flat escalator. So the thing is that when you keep this in mind and put forth the effort to cultivate oneself so that one's thoughts become perfect, so that one's words become correct, so that one's actions and deeds actually save living beings. Then you are directly taken off the escalator. So you no longer stand on that path that runs towards death. He said, it's a matter of fact that you begin to elevate. And as one elevates, how they understand everything shifts. Therefore, the world that they see changes. Not from the outside, but from the inside, and the illusions fall away. then you can handle whatever comes in the course of a day. Praise or blame, loss or fame, pleasure or pain, gain. What's the other one? Say that one. I tried to rhyme them up so I could remember them. You know, they say in other words, but I get rhymes as I get older. Pleasure or pain, fame or gain, fame or shame, loss or gain, praise or blame. Oh, that's good. I forgot that one. I must be improving because everybody wants to be praised and nobody wants to be blamed, right? When those two go out the picture, you know you're making some progress. And then as we start to learn this authentic Buddha Dharma, we will see it manifesting in our life. We'll know it for ourselves. We don't have to try to tell anybody and say, look, do you see? Do you see? We will know it for ourselves. The confidence will be there. The capacity will be there. The ability to walk it out, not just talk it out, will be there. And the joy will be there. Sometimes I just start giggling and Sister Lucita will look at me and I'm like, nothing. It ain't nothing, you know, but just a kind of happiness bubbling up. And actually it seems to be coming up the more I have to overcome obstacles. The more I have to deal with what I don't want to deal with, the more I have to compromise with or accept someone else's way instead of just doing what I want to do. The more I'm stepping out of myself. So I'm finding that myself has been the problem all along. But there also seems to be the one who loses that self in life actually finds one's original nature. So I know this might have been a little tough discourse today, and I want to stop so that you can hold some part of it. You know, that there was something for me and for you to take out of this. If you don't get anything, get this, that the purpose for studying the Buddha Dharma and for cultivating oneself is to escape the cycle of birth and death. And that is what it is to be enlightened. May you be well and happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you and no danger. May you always be able to meet the inevitable difficulties of life. And I want to say that we redid the audio and we heard back from our from the gurus at the temple, and they are happy now with the lyrics. We were happy with the lyrics, but they said, you know, but that